Hey, oh man, if I should start over here and just edit that out, but you know what? We're just going to keep on going. It is Friday, the markets are closed, and we want to talk about what's going to happen next week. So, um, I'm looking at a weekly chart here of the Qs and a daily. Okay, notice here on the weekly chart, we still have red momentum. All right, now that all that means is that's a measurement of ADX versus DMI plus versus DMI minus and all that kind of fun stuff. So, and also we are still below that 200 period moving average on the daily chart. We did close right. We closed up above all these key moving averages. The one thing I want you to notice here is that we're stretched on the daily charts here. We're testing those upper bands. We did kind of come back. I thought we might actually test the midpoint, but we did not. We already turned higher. This is that classic pit bull low, the Thursday and Friday before monthly options expiration, which is next week. So at this point now, I'm not expecting a huge move higher, and I'm certainly not expecting a down move. I'm just expecting a grind higher as we move through monthly expiration. Okay, so the two things to kind of keep in mind for next week. There's going to be a lot of kind of smaller company earnings, like the big boys are kind of mostly out of the way. So there'll be a lot of activity around that. We're having some really interesting earnings here. We've had a lot of good stuff come up in the S3 Edge product. We talked about this in the video on either Tuesday or Wednesday. UBNT, stellar move here. IRBT, stellar move here. So you're having some really, really good stuff, and we've got some more coming up next week we'll keep an eye on. One that I'm really like here is Twilio. So this is one that I own calls going into earnings, and then I'm going to swap out and look at selling some put credit spreads right before earnings, as I do think it's going to continue, but I want to benefit from the implied volatility crush as opposed to getting crushed by it. So from here, let me show you the trades that I've got on this one. So on Twilio, again, I think so. The earnings I think are on Tuesday after the close. I'll have to double check that. So on something like that, what we're just simply looking at is that we've got a combination of some 110 calls and the 115 calls. Okay, and just the idea here with the 115 calls, of course, that's that slightly out of the money, but you can see that the implied volatility here continues to rise, right? If you compare this implied volatility to let's see, you want to ignore that. That's kind of the non-standard and the weird stuff. But if you go to the next week here at 95%, then that's way lower because guess what? We've got earnings next week. So I'm actually anticipating that implied volatility will continue to rise into earnings. And so what that means here as well is that the premium portion of these options will expand, and if we continue to get price acceleration like that, we're going to get that double whammy. So that's the trade I like for that. I also like the same trade here for ALRM, Alarm Holdings. This is another one where you can see we've got a nice, it's going to be a little different because they're monthly options, so you're not getting that same kind of goose there, but you're looking at that expanded implied volatility as well as expanded price. And if you look at that stock here, both Twilio and ALRM, they're exhibiting behavior where they're just showing loud and clear that they don't care what the rest of the market is doing. All right, so those are two that I'm looking at next week. Premium video, I'll cover the rest of my positions and a couple of other ideas for next week as well. And with that, you guys have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you at the next update.